Hello, YouTubers and vinyl community members and Peanuts lovers everywhere. One of my viewers on one of the videos I did a little while back put in a request and said, why don't you review some Vince Guaraldi records, but not the Christmas record? So, you know, first record I got, Christmas record. Want to talk about Vince Guaraldi and show a few more records. Um, I didn't have this record. You know, we've all watched the Charlie Brown Christmas special every year, most of our lives. We've heard the music. It's terrific. Maybe should talk a little bit about who Vince Guaraldi was. We will discuss a little bit about that while talking about some of the records, but I'm not going to talk about the music here. Everybody's heard this. I ordered this from Amazon. This is a repress, been repressed dozens and dozens of times, millions of copies made. Nice white vinyl. Nice record. I played this record the other day. I enjoyed it. Jazz trio. Very good. Now, when I got the request, I thought, I don't have any Vince Guaraldi. And one of the things I might have think, until a couple years ago, I never had a Beatles record. And I still don't have any Beach Boys records. I've never had a CD. I like the Beach Boys. I like the Beatles, but it's one of those things you heard it 10 million times on the radio. I don't need the record, and that was kind of my feelings about those. And probably some of you, maybe a lot of you, might be the situation here. At Halloween, at Christmas, whenever we got the Peanuts special movies that we watched over and over, and we hear that music. I thought I didn't have any records, but I started going through records, and luckily I found this record, which I had. Stan Getz, Cal Tjader, Billy Higgins, Scott LaFaro, Vince Guaraldi on piano, and Eddie Duran, 1963. Vince Guaraldi was on the Fantasy label, Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area label, and that's where this record was from. This record is outstanding. The music is outstanding. The sound quality of this record was outstanding. Not even going to give me a tune list on here without reading through the thing, but just to give you a little idea, Ginza Samba, I've grown accustomed to her face, and for all we know, just a little what's on one side. I love this record, it's outstanding, and every aspect of it is, and very happy I found this. And this is the Vince Guaraldi, the early Vince Guaraldi, 1963, before he became Schroeder in the Peanuts characters, or played the piano for Schroeder. Here playing some great jazz music with some other great jazz musicians. Very enjoyable. Now, before I started, or when I started, I just make assumptions without any information. I figured, well, he probably got famous playing, the music for the Peanuts characters, and then he was never able to record the kind of music he wanted. Nope, I got it backwards. He became famous first playing the music that he liked. This record, as an example. Mo-Fi, Cast Your Fate to the Wind, the original hit. The original album title was Jazz Impressions of Black Orpheus with the Vince Guaraldi Trio. Now, one of the things I found out, of course, the records that he made before Peanuts, those records are pretty scarce because it wasn't well known. He's playing a category of what I would describe his style as cool jazz. I'm not an expert on these jazz genres, but very enjoyable. So when you go to look for the records before the Peanuts records, they're not cheap. And actually, the MoFi here in basically mint condition, near mint condition, was no more, I think, than just getting an original press of the Black Orpheus. And I didn't write the date down here, but this was like 63 or 64. And does jazz music of Black Orpheus on one side, Samba de Orpheus, Mana de Carnaval, Muso Amor, and Generique. And then on the other side, kind of somewhat different music, but Cast Your Fate to the Wind, which was a huge hit. And of course, everybody's heard that song, Moon River, Alma Ville, and Since I Fell for You. Well, Vince Guaraldi is the San Francisco Bay Area guy, and Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts, I guess you could say he was a San Francisco Bay Area guy. I didn't look to see where he was originally from, but from the Peanuts time on anyway, he was up in the Santa Rosa area just north of San Francisco. So what happened is you got Charles Schultz, who loved this kind of music. You got Cast Your Fate to the Wind, Vince Guaraldi Trio, big hit, I think about the next year, 64 or so, is when he started doing music for Charles Schultz. And so they didn't change the music he played in Peanuts. He didn't have to play something else. That's what he was playing to start with. Very interesting. And besides the Stan Getz record that I just showed, if you just wanted to get one record, get this one. You can get it on MoFi. It's been repressed a few times. There may be even later represses, but getting the MoFi from the original master tapes, great sound. That was really enjoyable. Okay, now the music that we're all familiar with, I showed this the other day. Copyright 1968, Vince Guaraldi, oh good grief. This one's on Warner Brothers. And this is a good record, but this is basically songs used in the TV shows that you've heard over and over and over. And these things are quite collectible. The original of these are collectible because we have a crossover. We not only have record collectors, and we have music collectors, but we have people, probably 9 out of every 10 of these records are in the hands of a Peanuts collector who maybe doesn't even have a turntable. I picked that up in that little score just recently, and I was happy to get that. Another record I got from my record store. This one's a little bit later. 1970. A Boy Named Charlie Brown, Columbia. And this one is musical director John Scott Trotter. This is from the soundtrack album, and Vince Guaraldi, I don't believe, is actually playing on this record. He just wrote all of the music that's on this record. And again, I picked this one up at my store. You're not going to find these in the dollar bin. If you do, they're going to be really beat because, to a large extent, I guess we could say ones like these would have been probably been children's records. So that one's interesting, but I picked this one up just the other day from Amazon, Jazz Impressions of a Boy Named Charlie Brown, Vince Guaraldi Trio original soundtrack. This is Vince Guaraldi and his trio doing similar, if not the same, music that was from the soundtrack, but he's actually recorded it with the trio, again done on Fantasy here. This is just a recent edition, 50th anniversary, limited edition orange vinyl, 12 collectible lithographs of Peanuts characters, and there you can see the nice orange vinyl. So you can pick this one up new if you want it. Very enjoyable music. And this one, although you might get them confused, this one is studio orchestra playing the music. This one is the Vince Guaraldi Trio. And again, I think this will be a collectible 50th anniversary orange, and you can buy these new, whatever, the Amazon price was. Not very much. Kind of to close out the show, I originally started looking for his first recordings before I knew anything. In other words, I just knew about the Peanuts kind of stuff. And so one of the records I found was this one. This was Frank Rossellino Quintet. This was issued in 1957. Of course, this record is fairly hard to find anyway. The copy I have here is a reissue from 1985. I don't think I didn't research Frank Rossellino to see if what he might have ever done, but I don't think anybody's ever heard that name. Why is this record reissued in 1985? Of course, because Vince Guaraldi plays piano on it. And this is quite good record. Music very enjoyable, cool jazz. And you got Frank Rossellino on trombone, Richie Kamuka on tenor, Vince Guaraldi on piano, Monty Budwig on bass, and Stan Levy on drums. Recorded in Hollywood. They played Cherry, Let's Make It, How Long Has This Been Going On? They say similar stuff on the other side. And pretty good recording. The way it's recorded, the piano's back there in the mix. When somebody else is playing, you don't hear it, but there are some nice piano solos on here where you get to hear a 1957 version of Vince Guaraldi. There was another record similar to this one. I forget the title. It was to get one in decent condition on Discogs. It was $30. Early Vince Guaraldi. There was only a couple of them for sale, and I ordered one and got a message back. Oh, the record was damaged. They canceled the order, so I never did get that record. But I got a nice little group of Vince Guaraldi here, and half of the fun was doing a little research, finding out the story. Learning a little bit about the artist. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to thank my viewer for the request. And I maybe can't review anything, but I am a piano guy, and Vince Guaraldi was a piano guy. So if there's something you might think that I could do a decent job with, let me know, and I hope you all enjoyed the video.